Let's imagine that you're on a first date and you're entering a movie theater and you see the following 3 movie posters. Now, your date is excited and asks you to pick one of these movies. So go ahead, just take like 5 seconds and pick one of them, whatever seems interesting to you. All right? It's pretty difficult, isn't it? Because you probably never heard of these. So I'm just going to give you a bit of a help. How about now? I'm guessing that this information probably changed your mind if you went for the second version. You can probably save your date and 2 hours of your life because the movie actually really sucks. I've watched the trailer. But the reason we did this is because this is what I want to talk about today, how a decision are influenced by other people's choices. And specifically about the concept of social proof. This is the tendency of people to imitate the behavior of others where they are unable to evaluate the decision by themselves or they are uncertain how to act. So basically, we try to identify what is correct by looking at what other people think is correct. And for the most part, that's fine. This is a thing that's been around for ages. And I'm going to give you 2 interesting examples from history. One would be Morologia. Hope I'm pronouncing it correctly. This is the profession, this was the occupation of professional women mourners a few thousand years ago. They were paid to cry and induce a feeling of sadness at funeral processions. So basically, they were trying to influence the people that were already present at the funeral to act the same. The second example is called claking. It's kind of the opposite of the first one. This was the occupation of claqueurs, people that were hired to applaud and greet dramatic performances in theaters and opera houses in Paris in 1830s and 40s. These people were just there to try to influence the audience to act a certain way. And also, fun fact, they were also blackmailing actors not to be booed, so very kind and supportive people. But the thing is that we still do this today. We kind of look at how others act and try to copy them. For example, the speed we drive on a specific highway lane, whether we choose a full or empty restaurant, or even deciding to embarrass yourself alongside other people by joining these majestic dance of weddings. But joking aside, relying on other people is a wonderful thing. This is what helped us evolve as a species. Over thousands of years, we've learned that being right actually keeps us alive. So integrating into a group and copying good decisions really made sense. So the idea is that social proof is not just a technique used by designers to make products more appealing. It's actually an ancestral habit of ours, and we need to offer the people the tools in order to satisfy that need. So in many ways, I would say that social proof is a necessity for better user experiences. The fact that it is so widespread around us makes it understandable why there are so many forms of it online. And I'm going to give you a few examples and show you the main forms of social proof. Based on their structure, I would categorize them into counters, assessments, and approvals. Counters can be seen as either the wisdom of the crowd, if we're representing averages or large numbers, or the wisdom of friends, if we're just representing the number of our close connections. A few examples. Ratings is one type of of counter. Uber uses them. For example, low ratings for passengers mean that they can actually get suspended. So this is how important they have become for the ecosystem. Subscribers, another example, Headspace generates this recurring meditation session every 30 minutes where you can join other people and meditate together, which is quite a really great motivator that you should do the same. Other types of counters include followers, views, share, downloads, purchases, backers, and others. The second type is assessments. Assessments include any type of social proof that includes some sort of written or spoken evaluation or judgment coming from normal customers, from experts, or from celebrities. Just a few examples as well. Reviews are one type of them. App Store uses them extensively. These can actually make or break an app or game inside the App Store. And from a UX standpoint, it is quite a big challenge to evaluate millions of apps and make them discoverable. So reviews do play a big role here. Testimonials, another example. Figma uses designers from top companies that chose to endorse their product. I have mixed feelings about testimonials because we only see the people that like the product, so we kind of get a bit of a biased picture, but as long as they're real, it's all fine. Other types include endorsements, case studies, mentions, quotes, and others. The third type consists of approvals. These are the types of social proof that either associate your product with a well-known brand, or they highlight any form of official recognition coming from verified organizations or regulators. A few examples. Awards are one type of approval. Citymapper showcases their most prestigious awards on their website. And it is a really good way for them to increase the trust in their brand. Badges are another type. Dealing with online money transaction is always a challenge for digital mobile companies like TransferGo, Monzo, and N26. So what they do is they use these badges from security companies and regulators to kind of reassure people that everything is in safe hands. Other types include certifications, customer logos, integrations, mentions, and others. In general terms, there are two situations in which social proof will work considerably better. The first situation is uncertainty. When people are not certain how to act, they will be much more likely to look for guidance from other people in order to reduce that uncertainty. And one example, let's say that you are planning a trip to Paris and you're looking at two very similar places, similar price, similar amenities, location. One of them has no ratings and no reviews. The other one has both ratings and reviews, both of them positive. Many people would not want to gamble their romantic weekend in Paris, so they'll be much more likely to go for the less risky option, the one that reduces their uncertainty. So they'll probably go for the second one. The second favorable situation is similarity. Yeah, I'm not sure if Taylor is influenced by alpacas, but the idea is that the more we relate to the proof, the more powerful that proof becomes. So if we were to build a scale of how powerful this can be, it will probably have 3 levels. One of them is when you see that other people did the same thing. Like, for example, 20 visitors stayed here, which is fine, but I'm not sure who they are and what they do. The second level will be that when you see that other people like me did the same thing. For example, 3 visitors from UK stayed here, which already sounds more interesting because we have similar backgrounds. And the third level will be when you see that other friends did the same thing. This is probably the most powerful level because apart from family, friends are the most trusted connections we have. So we can actually trust what they're saying. If you're planning to integrate social proof into your products, I just want to recap a few do's and don'ts for that. A few things to do. First of all, display the type of social proof that fits your product best. Make use of those counters, assessments, and approvals, and any type of form they have. They will increase the trust in your brand and will associate your product or brand with trusted ones, so they will have the same effect. Reduce uncertainty and highlight the decisions of similar people. This will help decrease the uncertainty when people are faced with a decision, and they will decrease their anxiety as well. And they will help them just relate to the behavior of other people when they have to take these decisions. Test before implementing social proof. Use A/B testing to see what types of social proof you should be implementing. Use usability testing to see the amount of social proof that you should be showing. And use or conduct surveys in order to understand how confident users are in the type of social proof that you're showing them. So do test them. And a few things to avoid. First off, don't fake social evidence to create artificial engagement. This is quite important. Faking things will only harm your brand in the long run, so don't do it. Personally, I urge you to boycott companies and products that use fakery to manipulate users. Skip social proof if it diminishes the focus on your content. That's because if users start chasing likes instead of your content, then your product will most likely become shallow. And you can see the example of Instagram, which they are now testing hiding the number of likes on their posts. So in order to let users focus more on the actual content, which I do hope they do. Low proof is worse than no proof. That's because low proof can actually backfire and have the opposite effect. So just avoid using forms of social proof that might give the perception that very few people approve the content. And last but not least, don't be an asshole. This kind of refers to the fact that you shouldn't do stuff to others that you wouldn't want others to do to you. This includes manipulating users intentionally or just being outright dishonest with them. If there were one thing that I'd like you to remember from this presentation, that would be this: the fact that relying on other people is an ancestral, innate habit of ours. And we as designers should embrace that, and we should satisfy that need in order for us to offer better experiences to our users. And if you're the type of person that communicates through memes, this would probably be the one to remember if you want to describe social proof to someone else. So, thank you.
It's very important. Photos are very important. All right, I've got questions for you.
Sure.
So this was something that you just touched on a little bit at the end, but using social proof can also be highly manipulative. So how do you think we can best combat that?
Well, don't use it for evil purposes. It's that simple. I mean, there are so many techniques that can be used to manipulate users. This is one of them. Scarcity is another one. I mean, you can use them to just manipulate users in so many ways, but just don't. I mean, this is a free choice that we have to do, and we need to be ethical as designers, first of all, because there are other industries where you can also be very manipulative, but you don't do it because it's not ethical. So it's that simple. Don't do it. If you think that it will manipulate users or make them take some decisions that they wouldn't normally want to make, then there's a problem and you should change something.
So another question, people seem a little bit worried.
Yeah.
So this one is, how do we avoid social proof reinforcing bias or negative stereotypes?
Well, it's complicated because it does depend on the type of social proof and the people that you're showing them. And that's why it's very important to use social proof and try to use the people that they can actually relate to. That's a general problem, not necessarily for social proof, but for design in general and the way we design products. So yeah, that's kind of the only way to approach something like that.
And finally, people are asking, if there are no reviews for a product, if you don't have any social proof, how are you going to encourage people to use it?
Well, you probably have to involve some marketing here and some budgets, but yeah, until you reach a threshold, it's not necessarily advisable to show social proof. It's not necessarily, I mean, it might sound biased, but it's kind of biased, but for your own harm. So just not showing them will kind of be more recommended than just showing very, very few or none. Yeah, this is a chicken egg problem with no reviews. I mean, you have to have users to have reviews, and but this will only be solved in time.
Brilliant. Well, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Let's have a huge round of applause for David Teodorescu. Thank you very much.